Rocket Lab just won its biggest launch contract ever, $266 million from the Space Force. But during the same week, the stock dropped to $60.05. At $120, everyone called it the best buy. At $60, the room went quiet. If you hold Rocket Lab, that is the real choice. Do you stay with what the company just did, or do you follow the price? The contract does not need Neutron to deliver. The price still acts like it does. I have a master's in aerospace engineering, so I read this through the numbers, not the fluffs. On July 21st, 2026, the Pentagon put the award on paper. Firm price: 12 flights, maybe 6 more. $112 million already paid upfront on day 1. First launch no earlier than end of 2026. Alaska gets a 4th Rocket Lab pad because more military test flights need that northern path. Virginia cannot do those as cleanly. In March 2026, there was already a $190 million defense launch block. This one is bigger. None of it waits on Neutron's first flight. So why did the stock price still drop to $60? Because Space Force money is not what is setting this price right now. This is not one launch, it is a catering block. Say I open Daniel's Burger Shop and I already know how to cook fast every day. The Pentagon does not walk in and buy one burger. It books a package. At least 12 big jobs, up to 6 more if they want them, done by the end of 2028. Price locked. If my ingredients gets more expensive, I eat the cost. That is what firm fixed price means. And on day 1, they already put $112 million on the counter so the work can start. What are they buying? Not a satellite that stays in space forever. Practice flights. Rockets that fly a path like a missile or a very fast weapon so the military can test if their defenses work. Think of a car crash test track. Someone pays you to run the same hard test again and again on purpose so they learn before a real crash. The more times you can run that on time, the better they get. That is why Peter Beck keeps saying cadence. $112 million paid on day 1 and a stock that still fell to $60. Which number are you letting run your buy button? For Rocket Lab near term, this is backlog that does not sit and wait for Neutron. For the long term, it is a 4th launch site plus a customer that comes back when the flights keep working. Beck said it straight in the company release. Cadence, iteration, relentless execution. The size and scale of this contract, he said, reflects the Space Force's confidence. I'm not asking you to clap for the quote. I'm asking you to notice what they paid for. Speed and repeat flights, not a dummy order to make the company survive. Now, why do I keep saying Virginia? Because that is already Rocket Lab's US launch site today. Launch Complex 2 sits at Wallops Island in Virginia. The first US Electron flight from there was on January 24, 2023. Since then, that pad has been the company's main US door for Electron and for government work that needs to fly from American soil. Launch Complex 3, also in Virginia, is the Neutron pad they are building out. New Zealand is still Launch Complex 1, where Electron has flown for years. So when this Space Force deal adds Alaska, it is not replacing Virginia. It is adding a 4th site next to a path Virginia cannot fly as cleanly. And it is not just a location Rocket Lab put on a map. The Kodiak spaceport has operated since 1998. It already has buildings to prepare rockets and a mission control center. What is new is the launch pad for Rocket Lab. Alaska Aerospace says it has started building that pad and it is now looking for companies to install the mechanical and plumbing systems. There is no public completion date yet. The only date Rocket Lab gave is that the first launch will be no earlier than the end of 2026. Rockets cannot go any direction they want. Safety rules and empty ocean decide the path. Some military practice flights need a long stretch of water from farther north. Virginia handles a lot of jobs. It cannot handle every path without wasting fuel on a bent route. Alaska gives Rocket Lab that northern path. Fourth launch site, put the pad next to the job that needs it. And here is the part that matters for your money. The company release and the DoD award talk about suborbital launchers. They do not name Neutron. This work sits on hardware Rocket Lab already knows how to fly. Neutron is still not flying. This contract does not need Neutron's first flight to start earning. I keep catching myself wanting to merge the two stories. Big defense win, therefore Neutron is fine. But that is lazy. The award can be real and Neutron can still be the risk. Both can sit on the same page. The customer paid for flights that do not need Neutron. The stock still prices like Neutron is the whole company. Which story did you buy when you click? SpaceWorks money is not what is pulling this stock around. If you only read the bull checklist, it sounds simple. Biggest launch contract, Alaska pad, Iridium deal, Neutron still targeted for late 2026. Somebody even posted that whole list in public and asked why the stock is down if everything is already known. But look at SpaceX stock. SPCX is about half of its June high near $225, and more shares unlock over the next few months. When SpaceX sells off that hard, Rocket Lab usually moves with the whole space group. Piper Sandler also started coverage around mid-July at neutral with an $83 target. Even after a huge drop, that desk still said the stock looks expensive for a company that is not GAAP profitable yet. And firm fixed price cuts both ways. $112 million paid upfront is real. If the flights cost more than planned through 2028, Rocket Lab is dead. Backlog is not the same thing as free margin. If this breakdown is useful, hit like and subscribe. I go 3 layers deep every week. The next important point, Iridium is not Starlink. Stop comparing them that way. One sentence on the deal, then we move. In late June 2026, Rocket Lab agreed to buy Iridium for about $8 billion in cash and stock with a close targeted for mid-2027. That is the recap, now the new numbers. On July 22, 2026, Iridium reported second quarter results. Revenue was $225.2 million, up 4%. Service was 72% of that. Billable subscribers hit 2.627 million, up 6% year-over-year. Operational EBITDA was $119.1 million against $121.3 million a year ago. Net income fell to $9.7 million or 9 cents a share, mostly because of $14.3 million in deal costs. No earnings call, no guidance because of the pending Rocket Lab deal. That plus 4% is not a failure if you know what you bought. Starlink is home internet from space. Millions of users, tens of billions of dollars at SpaceX scale. Iridium is the small must-work message, IoT tracker, and government safety link. About 66 main satellites. Slow growth, high quality cache. Same word, satellite, but different product. Now the Iridium deal math, because this is the line that stopped me. When Rocket Lab buys Iridium, each Iridium share gets two things: $27 in cash plus some Rocket Lab shares. How many Rocket Lab shares? That is the collar. Think of a min and a max price band from $67.50 to $112.50. Total package about $54 with the cash. If Rocket Lab is at or below $67.50, Iridium holders get a fixed 0.4 Rocket Lab shares each. The share count stops growing. Falling from $67 to $60 does not give them more Rocket Lab shares. If Rocket Lab is at or above $112.50, they get a fixed 0.24 shares. Rocket Lab holders are protected from giving away endless stock if the price goes higher. So, when Rocket Lab fell under $67.50 toward $60, the deal did not die. Your dilution from the stock stopped getting worse. The cash half still has to be funded. Bridge commitments of $3.6 billion sit behind that. Are you with me? Because the next part drives the valuation of this stock. Neutron is really the next thing to watch for this company. First flight is still targeted for the fourth quarter of 2026. On January 21st, 2026, a Stage 1 tank ruptured in testing. That is why the launch was delayed. In mid-July 2026, Rocket Lab ran a full-duration hot fire on the vacuum Archimedes engine for the second stage, about 5.5 minutes at Stennis Space Center. Hardware is still moving. The date is still a date, not a guarantee. For me, a short delay with a clear reason is not an automatic exit. A long delay with no end date is. I need the why and I need the how long. On August 10, 2026, Rocket Lab reports second quarter results after the close. The market will listen for Neutron language and for whether revenue guidance still holds up against Wall Street numbers near $919 million for the year. That is a watch item, not a finished answer. I sold a $75 put expiring in August. When the stock fell to $60.05, I sold another put at $60. I have helped growth stocks through long unrealized losses before. That is just part of this style for me. At $120, everyone called it the best buy. At $60, almost nobody is talking. For me, that is closer to when I add, not when I run. So the real question for me is not whether July's award was real. It was. The question is whether I am early while the room is quiet, or early to another year of waiting on a rocket that has not flown yet. Here are 3 things to watch. 1. The first Alaska flight under this Space Force award no earlier than end of 2026. 2. On August 10, 2026, Neutron language and revenue guidance on the earnings call. 3. SpaceX lock up supply over the next months because when the stock sells off, Rocket Lab usually moves with it. Biggest launch award of their life, cash on day one, and a contract that does not need Neutron, while the stock fell to $60 and the room went quiet. That quiet is the part people only notice after it is gone. SpaceX is what still moves a lot of the space group, including Rocket Lab. I already broke down Starship Flight 13, the flight that sits inside that same weather. I watched Flight 13 twice before I believed the ending. Click here to watch it now.